Hey everybody, my name is Paul Lesden Jr., aka Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. We are streaming live simultaneously right now on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/BoyGreen25. So make sure you like the video and hit subscribe for more awesome New York Jets content. We're streaming live on my Twitter account at BoyGreen25. Hashtag verified squad. And of course, on the Heavy on Jets Facebook page, which with over 20,000 of you crazy New York Jet fans out there. And this is going to be an interactive show. This is somewhat spontaneous. I'm going on a mini vacation tomorrow. I'm going to be in an airplane. I'm going to be down in Mississippi. So I don't know how that Wi-Fi is going to be. So I figured with all the breaking news today, with Jets signings, Jets roster cuts, players going on the PUP list, players coming off the PUP list. There's plenty to get to here on the show, no matter where you're watching. On our Facebook page, on our YouTube page, on our Twitter page. Jump into the comment section and get involved on today's show. This is an interactive program. Again, my name is Paul Lesden Jr. My nickname is Boyd Green. I am the digital reporter for Heavy.com, and I want all of you guys to get involved. It is an exciting day to be a Jets fan. There's a lot of positive news to discuss, so your questions, comments, topics are welcome throughout today's show, and feel free to get involved in a variety of ways. First off, we have to talk about the best news, and that is Makai Bechten. Makai Bechten, the former number 11 overall pick of the 2020 NFL draft, has been much maligned since he's been in the league. And on some sense, there's been the Hall of Fame traits and the reasons why a lot of people feel optimistic and tantalized, certainly by the talent and opportunity there that's on the field. But again, it's about staying healthy. It's, again, maximizing all of those talents that he brings to the table and has at his disposal. However, for a variety of reasons, we have not been able to see that maximized and realized on any real or consistent basis. And to be honest with you, there were some points this offseason that got pretty dark. There were guys like Dane Brugler of The Athletic who had a report that said Makai Bechten is never going to wear a Jets uniform again. There have been reports this offseason where some analysts and media reporters have suggested that Makai Bechten was pushing near 400 pounds and he was out of shape and didn't look great. And the Jets, Dan Graziano, Connor Hughes, so many others coming out. And I'm not criticizing those guys. We're just painting a full picture here. And so many guys came out and said, wow, look at Makai Bechten. Man, the Jets coaching staff seemingly throwing their hands up saying, we have no idea what we're going to do here. And boy, was Makai Bechten motivated. If you haven't seen it, we're going to throw it up here on the screen. We're going to throw up videos. We're going to throw up pictures, and you guys can kind of get a full sense of everything that is happening here with Makai Bechten. And to be honest, it's phenomenal news, and Jet fans should celebrate. Jet fans should be in full awe of everything they're seeing. So we're going to throw it up on the screen for you. Here is Makai Bechten, the picture of Makai Bechten that's going viral. And there's even more to this. We'll play the clip coming up. But there you go. There is a Slim Shady, a.k.a. Makai Bechten. By the way, we're in the Middle Initial Podcast Makai Bechten t-shirt, so shout out to that. But Makai Bechten looks great. And the same Makai Bechten that a lot of us saw pushing 400 pounds and not looking healthy and not looking great, and then seeing this picture next to each other, quite frankly, and seeing these two versions, it seems like a completely different version of Makai Bechten they're getting on the field, and it's great. It's the kind of guy that has that chip on the shoulder and can realize that full potential. Because again, a healthy Makai Bechten totally changes the dynamic of this New York Jets team. And look at the guy. Look at that healthy Makai Bechten. Also, since we're kind of over here, we're going to stay on my Twitter for a second. I want to play a clip of the great Connor Hughes is currently on the Green Bean podcast. And again, this is a collab I never thought was coming, but yet it's here. And Connor Hughes joined Green Bean on his show, and he's joining him right now. So make sure you guys go check him out. Green Bean's the best. And we're going to play this clip for you guys in a second, but a quick context before we play this clip is that Connor Hughes' sources, and they went viral from his Can't Wait podcast. I tweeted out that clip, told Connor Hughes that Makai Bechten, again, was pushing 400 pounds and not looking healthy and not looking great. And when he stepped on the mandatory minicamp, it was not good. And Connor Hughes said he reached back out to those same sources today and he got a very different response. Here's the entire exchange. Green Bean Connor Hughes, who's obviously had a little bit of a beef recently, and they were able to put that away, shake hands, and they're doing this wonderful podcast, which you guys should check out later. But first off, here's the clip of Green Bean Connor Hughes talking about the old report that Connor Hughes shared and this new updated report from today. Here's Connor Hughes on the Green Bean Show that you can check out on YouTube.
Who gives a shit? The guy showed up in the best shape I have ever seen Makai Bechten in, because we've been talking about his weight literally since his draft conference call. His weight was a conversation on the draft rookie call. It's been a conversation every single year, and now he's stepping up. And it would not surprise me if Saleh goes up there and says, "This dude weighed in at 375." I mean, there is no doubt, because I checked in again today with the same people that I checked in with last time, and I'll read the quote I got was. I gotta scroll up. Fuck yeah, he's ready to go was the quote that I got about him. So this is the same people that told me that he was overweight, were worried about it. Now it's fuck yeah, he's ready to go.
So again, that's awesome. That's awesome to hear. That quote, by the way, I got to get that crocheted on a pillow, but that's neither here nor there. Again, it's phenomenal news. So not only does Makai Bechten look great, not only do we get the great quote from Connor Hughes, but a man that was placed on the PUP list, the physically unable to perform list, whether it was a precaution, whether it was some sort of warning for the future, we were unclear. Well, it became very clear today on Tuesday, July 26th, although as we're recording the show, we're going to transition into Wednesday, July 27th. We're doing a very late night affair. This is an unplanned video. This wasn't going to happen before my mini vacation down to Mississippi, but too much has happened, quite frankly, and we needed to address a lot of it and talk with you guys, the fans. But the great news is not only does Makai Bechten look phenomenal, he looks in great shape. There's national reports, local reports, everything of Makai Bechten looking great, and the Jets coaching staff being very impressed with what they've seen from Ian Rappaport, Connor Hughes, Ritzemy, everybody spewing out this stuff, which is phenomenal. But the proof is in the pudding. It's not just words, it's actions. The Jets immediately removed Makai Bechten for the PUP list because he passed his physical with flying colors. Looks terrific, and that's great news for the Jets. He will be at practice on Wednesday, July 27th. Again, this audio will also be available on the Jets' own podcast for all our audio listeners to be able to listen to this. So whenever you're listening, regardless, Makai Bechten is practicing for that opening game. I see or opening practice rather on Wednesday, July 27th, the first practice of Jets training camp, which is great. Let's go to a couple of comments coming in here again. No matter where you're watching, our Heavy on Jets Facebook page with over 20,000 fans, YouTube, Twitter, what have you. Feel free to get involved on the show. And again, for people on Twitter, you have to go to one of the other forms for me to see your question. Let's go to Jake Lascant on YouTube. Do you think even though Bechten came off the PUP list, they'll still slowly ramp him up? Certainly possible, Jake, that they do slowly ramp him up. Now, for those who don't understand some of the rules, if a player is on the PUP list, they cannot practice. They can participate in the meetings and things of that nature, but he is fully available to practice by being removed off the PUP list, which he was earlier this evening, officially announced by the New York Jets, along with Carl Lawson and CJ Uzomah. We'll get more into them a little bit later in the show. But to start off with Bechten, yes, based on everything we've seen this offseason, it screams to me that they will ramp him up slowly. For me, it's just stunning news in a great way that Makai Bechten was taken off the PUP list before he missed no practice. The only member of the Jets that is still on the PUP list, by the way, is George Fant, who, by the way, is coming off offseason surgery. So who would have thought that, and I think someone tweeted this at me, who would have thought that Makai Bechten would be off the PUP list before George Fant? So goes to show you. But to answer your question, Jake, I think absolutely they will slowly ramp him up here because that's what they're doing with all these guys. Carl Lawson also was removed from the PUP list. And again, that's exciting in a lot of ways. But look at everything they've done every step of the way. Now, at a certain point, it's football. You can't bubble wrap everybody. They're going to have to play. They're going to have to get opportunities. But this is actually a great chance for Makai Bechten with George Fant not present. He's actually there physically, but he won't be able to participate until he's removed from the PUP list. This is Makai Bechten's chance to try to steal a little bit of the left tackle job, which apparently is a battle between him and George Fant. So if he could show a little bit of chutzpah here, now is a great time to be able to do so. Maybe he fights through that. But from Robert Saleh's point of view, there's been too many injuries, and something they want to do is ramp up these players. So a guy like Makai Bechten, who showed up at mandatory minicamp but didn't really participate, Carl Lawson, obviously a guy who ruptured his Achilles in the joint practice against the Green Bay Packers. All of those guys, they're going to slowly, methodically work their way back. So, yes, without a shadow of a doubt, unequivocally, I'd be stunned, quite frankly, if there was not some level of a ramp-up period for Makai Bechten. But I'm sure Makai on the other side is like, man, this is a great opportunity for me right now with George Fant not here for me to reclaim my job. So that's it as well. Shout out to the Buffalo Jet fan, my man. Joining me here on YouTube, a little comment. Very nice. By the way, myself and Buffalo Jet Fan have a joint YouTube show, which you guys can check out every Monday night on the Buffalo Jet Fan YouTube channel. That will be throughout the season. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. Jason Bertrand looks great. Watch the full episode when finished. Finished work. Keep up the great work, mate. Really appreciate it. Yes, thank you. Feel free. And also, we had a full preview with Ethan Greenberg, New York Jets team reporter, proud Syracuse alum as well, good friend of mine. And that's up on the YouTube channel as well if you guys would like to check that out. I was going to put that on the podcast, but instead we'll put this latest edition available on our podcast for all our audio listeners for tonight. Let's transition. So again, Makai Bechten, awesome news. Came in great shape, looked great. National, local reporters, all effusive praise from that standpoint, which is amazing news. CJ Uzomah, who got hurt during some of the spring OTAs, opened up the training camp on PUP, but before even the first practice was removed from it. That's great news for CJ Uzomah. But to me, even the bigger story is a different former Cincinnati Bengal, and that's Carl Lawson. A guy who ruptured his Achilles in the joint practices against Green Bay. Incredibly sad because we thought he was going to be this superstar that took over and looked great. And, we all have those same hopes now. Carl Lawson is removed from the PUP, so he will be a full go. Again, in the same vein that Jake brought up earlier on YouTube, in the same vein, I think Carl Lawson is going to be ramped up as well. But that's exciting news to see because, again, this is a guy that can really change the tenor of the entire defense depending on what version of Carl Lawson we get. And he looks in phenomenal shape from all the videos that we've seen on social media. Going over to YouTube, Ghost of Gorilla Toddies. I butchered that. What do you can to Jet fans in a dumpster? Good start. I don't really get that, but I will put that one off. But thank you for the comment. That one didn't really come through. Maybe a little autocorrect action there. But I will say this, is that it's phenomenal news on Makai Bechten, phenomenal news on Carl Lawson, great news on CJ Uzomah for that matter. And there's a lot of movement, a lot of things happening. Speaking of a lot of things happening, let's go to the latest bits of information from the New York Jets. They announced a handful of signings and a handful of cuts. Let's bring up those officially on the show. The Jets added 3 new bodies. Chris Trevler will go piece by piece here. So, new quarterback to the rotation for the New York Jets. They've had, of course, Zach Wilson, Joe Flacco, Mike White, now Chris Trevler, who, for those who don't know, I wrote a full piece about it for Heavy on Jets. And again, you guys should, of course, be following the Heavy on Jets page. It's where I write multiple articles a day on the New York Jets. Chris Trevler is a former CFL champion quarterback. He won the Grey Cup in the CFL. He also, in that same season, was a rushing touchdown leader in the CFL, a dual threat athletic quarterback that has had a couple of cups of coffee in the NFL. He spent 2 years with the Arizona Cardinals. He spent about 4 months with the Miami Dolphins, was on the Baltimore Ravens practice squad last year, and again, most notably known from his stop in the CFL for 2 seasons with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And he's a guy that some people will simply say, and I saw Zach Rosenblatt, by the way, welcome Zach Rosenblatt to the beat. We'll actually be doing a lot of work together. So guys, keep an eye out for that, both here on the channel and on my radio show. So me and Zach Rosenblatt will be working together. Excited that's now official with him at The Athletic. So that's good news. He believes that, again, Trevler is nothing more than a camp arm, and that's certainly possible. But there's also a little voice in my head that said, you know what? If you can flip Mike White, and I've talked about this before, a guy that is on the last year of his deal, it's a restricted free agent contract, 1-year deal. He's an unrestricted free agent next year. If there is interest in the league and you could flip him to a team that would have any interest in Mike White, maybe a quarterback injury, then maybe you could stash Chris Trevler either on the practice squad or as your third quarterback and have a little bit of roster flexibility. Probably you could protect him on your practice squad as your practice squad quarterback with the expanded practice squad rosters. And that could be kind of interesting from a roster flexibility standpoint because the Jets have a lot of tough decisions to make. So Trevler, CFL champion, dual threat guy. He's a guy I really like. So they signed him. They had him in for a visit this week. That's the second visit in the last 6 months. They also brought him in for a visit in January. And you don't, as I wrote my piece, it's kind of a joke, but it's serious. You don't go on a second date if the first date didn't go well. So the fact that they were bringing him for another visit only told me that the talks were very serious on bringing him in, and he is officially in. So Chris Trevler, quarterback, added to the rotation, 4 quarterbacks for the Jets in training camp. Welcome in wide receiver Rashard Davis. This is a guy that is both a wide receiver and special teams ace. He led the USFL in punt return yardage. He's a dynamic guy, a guy that won a Super Bowl. The Philadelphia Eagles spent 2 years with Joe Douglas. He also won a national championship with James Madison in college. So he's a dynamic player. Some of his USFL stats, he led the league of the USFL in yards per reception with over 16 yards. He was top 10 in the USFL in receiving yards this season. He cracked the list at number 10, and I mentioned the punt return yardage. So a nice dart throw here and more depth behind Braxton Berrios, which I think is always good. And they also officially announced a re-signing of Isaiah Williams, who's more so a left guard exclusively. Or that's what he's been in the NFL. I would have preferred some offensive tackle depth, which I see we have a question about that, which we'll get to in just a minute. So Isaiah Williams is officially added to the mix of the Jets. They released 3 guys as corresponding moves. DJ Montgomery, receiver, who I know not a lot of fans are massive fans of DJ Montgomery, but he's been a part of all the Zach Wilson workouts for most of the offseason. It was going to be a tough trek for him to make the squad. There's no doubt about it with the depth and star talent at wide receiver. Craig James, who you'll be like, that name sounds familiar. Yeah, that Craig James, the Philadelphia Eagles cornerback, who the Jets signed just last Thursday. All of a sudden, he's gone. They cut a guy after signing him just a few days ago. That was an injury designation from a previous stop, essentially. And the Jets moved on. So Craig James last all of a handful of days with the New York Jets. He's gone. And the Jets also released Drew Samia with a failed physical. So that's another guy that is now gone from the mix. So 3 new guys: Chris Trevler, quarterback; Rashard Davis, wide receiver; offensive lineman Isaiah Williams. Again, he was on the team last year. And then they got rid of DJ Montgomery, Craig James, and Drew Samia. Drew Samia, by the way, was via a failed physical. So a lot of news coming in on all things New York Jets, which, by the way, for my job, again, heavy on Jets, we're trying to cover stories. All of a sudden, I'm like, okay, we're going to this story. Never mind, we're going to this story. Never mind, we're going to this story. There was so much breaking news, which was really fun to cover, and football is back. Let's welcome in a couple more fans here. Jets, mess. Yo! What's poppin', baby? Welcome to the show here late after dark, Boy Green After Dark. Let's go to this question. I know we had it on the docket. That's another bit of news from this week from Zandy from Facebook. Now that Riley Reef is signed with the Chicago Bears, who do you think the Jets go after as a swing backup tackle, or flip they roll with Mitchell and company? So, yeah, for those who missed it, Riley Reef signed a 1-year deal worth as much as $12.5 million, but I believe has a base of $10 million for the Cincinnati, or formerly of the Cincinnati Bengals, now the Chicago Bears. I'll say this. For that kind of money, I would not have been interested in Riley Reef. Again, I made a video on the channel. You guys can all look at it, so I'm not hiding from it. I think Riley Reef would have been a great addition for this Jets team with the versatility. It's not like he's an upper-tier tackle. He's never been that. He's just an average tackle. However, the versatility would have been nice, but the money was just too rich. It's a desperate Chicago Bears team that lacks offensive line talent, overpaying, and that's fine. That sometimes happens. We saw it with Larry Ogunjobi getting a good deal from Pittsburgh, and Reef gets it in the same way, a guy who held a contract offer, according to Leger Duzable, about the Jets and getting him. So with Reef now gone, who do I think the Jets will go after as a swing backup tackle? This is a great question, Zandy. And for this column, in the second half of it, I'm like, man, what options are there for the Jets at offensive tackle? I'm going to be honest, they're slim, very slim. There's Nate Solder out there, and Nate Solder sucks. Giant fans who are local know that. The best guy available is Dwayne Brown. He's an older guy. I believe he's 37. He spent a large portion of his career with both the Houston Texans and Seattle Seahawks most recently. He obviously got in with a couple of issues. Not a couple of issues. There's one issue that's very similar to Quinnen Williams, where he had a concealed gun that he wasn't supposed to have, went through an airport and got caught with it. And again, he basically, his agent kind of came out and said that it was just a dumb mistake, an oversight by him, and you guys can judge him in any way that you want. So you'd have to be comfortable with that situation. But Dwayne Brown is an elite tackle, a guy that's a multi-time Pro Bowler, a multi-time All-Pro. This is a guy that's one of the best tackles in football. Now, the swing tackle conversation to it is not non-existent. Dwayne Brown is exclusively a left tackle, but the thing that I love about him is he's a phenomenal left tackle. So even though he can't play both, I'd rather have a guy that's really good on one side, and then on the other maybe is Max Mitchell, who Connor Rogers has said, and I trust his judgment on draft coverage more than almost anyone, he believes Max Mitchell is exclusively a right tackle. So if your backup situation, in theory, is Dwayne Brown on the left and Max Mitchell on the right, and you feel good about that, then maybe, you know what, that's something that you could do. But I think it does say something. While they did kick the tires on Riley Reef, they being the New York Jets, they hosted him for a visit during mandatory minicamp. I think it says something almost like a vote of confidence that they haven't signed somebody yet that must say that either the money with Reef, which we saw, / they're comfortable with their own guys. They're comfortable with Max Mitchell. They're apparently comfortable with the combination of Connor McDermott, Chuma Edoga, which doesn't necessarily elicit the same confidence from the fan base. But the Jets coaching staff has been right before. The corners last year, they were much better, the corners, and the coaching staff's belief in them than a lot of us fans thought. So I think that's a factor as well. But right now, at this point, I would add Dwayne Brown yesterday if everything clears out. But it seems like at this point that the Jets are comfortable with Mitchell and company, and there's only one way to find out how that's going to go, and that's by watching the season play out. Again, if they roll with Mitchell and company and the backups, and Makai Bechten or George Fant gets hurt, and things kind of crap out, Joe Douglas is going to have to catch the heat and wrath from fans and media analysts and everything else. But if it works out, he'll be a genius. So it could go either way. Kobe DeCan, hey, what's happening? Kobe, welcome to the show, baby. We got Monty, AD, one of the best in the business, Boy Green. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for the kind words. With a lot of kind words recently coming from you guys, really coming out of the woodwork with the nice words, and I really appreciate that. We're trying to give you guys a product that you guys can be proud of. AC on YouTube. Just watch that nose job having Weenie Greeny wimp out. The Jets will make the playoffs. This squad is different. Nose job having Weenie Greeny wimp out. So I'm not sure I saw that. I've only been in and out, obviously, because we were getting ready for this show. I believe the Jets will make the playoffs. I've said it before. I think my official prediction, as soon as the schedule came out, like raw, right off the go, was 9-8. I really believe in this squad. I think there's a lot to love. And if you're going to nitpick, which is some of the things I've done, is offensive tackle depth, I think, is super questionable. That'd be a high priority. Linebacker depth is a high priority. And I'm missing one other obvious one. But, you know, and then whoever the other safety is going to be, I suppose, is another one. But again, I feel like at that point you're nitpicking. This Jets roster is uber talented. And I think they're going to reap the benefits of that this season. Again, a lot of it is Zach Wilson, the developments he takes, but with so much talent on the offense and Mike LaFleur, my trust in him, I think there is going to be a quantum leap, and I think teams are going to be like, whoa, who the heck is this Jets team? And you know what? It's about time. Jay Spector on YouTube. See Bear signed Riley Reef for $12.5 million. Sure, JD's offer was nowhere near that. Glad we're not paying fools money for a backup. 100%. That kind of money, by the way, shout out to the Jet Press for cooking this one up. Apparently, the $10 million base puts him number 5 or top 5 in right tackle money, which again is just ridiculous. Is that for anyone who's either looked at the PFF analytics or just Riley Reef's career in general, he has never made a Pro Bowl. And I get that's a popularity contest, but he's never made a Pro Bowl, never made an All-Pro. Again, he's just an average guy. And again, I made a video on the channel. You guys can check it out. I'm not hiding from it, that I thought it would have been a good addition. I thought it would have been a good addition for good money, this is unbelievable money. And money I'm glad that the Jets did not cough up. I think it would have been overkill. I think that's too much for a player that is not that good. I think he's just average, and that's fine. Average offensive linemen are good to have. But from that perspective, I thought it was a little wild. Jay Spector, there will be plenty of offensive line backups with each cut down. Hopefully, Jay, I don't know. Like, there's for people that are dreaming about Morgan Moses, I don't think that's happening because that was such a rare circumstance. But hopefully, there is some quality offensive tackle depth. But I don't know. It seems hard to believe that that's going to shake free in any sizable way. But I would love to see that as well. Let's keep going here. Kobe, Jets over 5.5. I think yes. No, I don't think yes. I know yes. 5.5. Like 5.5 is so goddamn insulting. I'm going to be blunt. Like, look at the second half of that schedule. If you just want to try to get to 5.5, with teams like the Bears, the Lions, the Jaguars, like, I roll, man. Like, those are three off the top of my head. Boom, 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 boom. And then, like, I think there are plenty of games in the first half of the schedule which you can spin. You got 3 home games against the division. Again, the Jets haven't won a division game in 2+ years. And again, so they have to prove it, of course. But I'm over the 5.5 pretty convincingly. YouTube, Jack Stallo. What's up, everybody? Wondering what you think about the nose tackle spot post Foley. Well, I will give a suggestion. I'll probably tweet this clip out tomorrow. We'll probably be busy. Zach Wilson set to speak. Robert Saleh's going to speak. So I have all those clips to cut up, plus articles and everything else. So I'll have to save it for a quiet time on the weekend or something when the players have an off day or something. But Ethan Greenberg joined me on my show earlier this week. And he really said a guy to highlight is Jonathan Marshall, the former 6th-round pick, Arkansas product. He believes that he could be the guy that kind of shocks us all, so to speak. But there's really nothing to say. The Jets didn't do anything. They let Foley go and sign nobody. They added a bunch of talent around the defensive tackle, not particularly a defensive tackle. So from that perspective, I think they're hoping the sum is, the sum of the parts is greater than the missing cog, and that they improved the corners, they improved safety, they improved the edge rushers, and all of that will be so good that, okay, we could kind of overcome the loss of the single. But we'll have to see if that works because the run defense was so poor last year. Jay Spector on YouTube. If all stays healthy, we have the offensive line to win. I would agree with that 100%. Now, can they stay healthy? I don't know. Makai Bechten or George Van have neither had a complete season in their entire NFL careers. Now, shorter for Bechten, obviously not as many opportunities, but still, the point is the point. So that's why I am a hope for the best. I am a hope for the best, expect the worst kind of guy. And that's how I try to prepare my life. But, we'll see what happens. And Dark Soldier coming in even on the late night affair. So let me see if I could get this. Crew! Yes, sir. Dark Soldier, welcome to the program, baby. We've got, we got a lot of people in here for a late night affair. It's probably because of how crazy. It's how crazy all you Jet fans are and all the great positivity that's flowing around the team. Happy Tank on YouTube. You should request Joe Blewett from Jets X Factor come on your show before the season starts. He puts in the work. I am a huge fan of Joe. I'm going to be honest. I don't think I've ever had him on the visual YouTube side. He's been on my podcast for people who are a fan of just the audio podcast, 100%. Joe has been on that, but he's not been on the visual version, which has only been a thing for like the last year, maybe, if that long. So, I love Joe. We'll have to get him on. He's a film freak. I really love the work he does in Jets X Factor is wonderful. So that's a good suggestion. Remind me of that when we get a little bit closer, kind of in the middle of preseason. We'll have a couple of weeks from the end of August to the first week to squeeze people in probably, and maybe there's somewhere else in between on the schedule we can make it happen. But happy tanking. I love the suggestion. I love any suggestion. By the way, if you guys have suggestions for other guests you'd like on the show, because of course on this show, for people who are new or old alike, we do 3 different kinds of videos on this channel. We do interviews with fun people. Could be players. We've had several players on, Jerko Kotchery, Tyler Conklin, several players over the last couple of months and weeks. We do these live streams, which are, this one's kind of random, but we do the Jet Zone every Wednesday, and then pre-recorded videos where we just kind of have a take, like Makai Bechten's great weight or something of that nature. So if you guys have suggestions for guests, feel free to always reach out. Again, @BoyGreen25 on all social media. Zandy, thoughts on Sherwood and Nasruddin at linebacker this year? Here's how I look at it. Again, it is a 4-3 scheme, so technically there are 3 quote-unquote starting linebackers, and 2 of them, to me, are pretty locked in. C.J. Mosley, 100%, and Quincy Williams, like near 100%. I think the Jets love both of these individuals. They're your linebackers. But that third guy, I think a sneaky guy we have not talked about at all is Marcel Harris. He's a guy that I think deserves more love than even myself. I blame myself for not giving enough proper love as a former 49er. But in terms of the other two, Jamien Sherwood and Hamza Nasruddin, Hamza is a freak. I love the talent. Sherwood is a surefire tackler, but there's a lot to be figured out. Obviously, there's a reason both those guys were day 3 picks, but they're going to have opportunities. The Jets didn't make any significant upgrades or investments for that matter, at the linebacker position. And both of them are going to have a whack at the pinata. I mean, really, they only got rid of guys. Blake Cash, when they traded away for a 6th-round pick. I still can't believe that happened, by the way. But thanks, Texans. But yeah, either one will have an option. And then option long-term, too, C.J. Mosley. You could get out of his contract next year. And Quincy Williams is a unrestricted free agent next year. So there's a lot of opportunity here for the present and future. AC on YouTube. I agree, Paul. How can you pay Fant's backup more than him? Exactly. That's right. And he would have, because technically the George Fant cap hit is $11 million, but it's really, in terms of just base, is like $9 million and change, and Reef would have been more expensive, which would make no sense. And again, also, Fant would be even more angry about getting that new contract. So yeah, 100%. There has to be a principle. Now, again, if you were going to shell out some extra moolah for a veteran swing tackle more than you would for a typical backup, I'm cool with that because of the importance of the position. But you make an astute observation that that'd be a hard thing to get over in the locker room, especially for a guy as widely respected and loved and, cared for in the locker room as George Fant is. Gregory Klein on YouTube. Which Jet wide receiver do you think will have the most touchdowns this season? Great question. I'm going to go Elijah Moore. And the reason why is both because he could contribute in both the receiving and the rushing game. Remember, he had 6 total touchdowns last year, 5 of which were receiving and 1 rushing. I believe that was the Broncos game. Or no. Maybe it was the Broncos game. I can't remember the rushing touchdown. No, because he went out early in that Broncos game. So I can't remember exactly which one was. That was New England, was the rushing touchdown. But so he has all the opportunity to do a lot of different things. If you think of all the other guys, Corey Davis is a good physically contested catch guy. Braxton Burris won't get enough opportunities. Corey Davis, I just don't know if they're going to use him in that way in the red zone, although the size would indicate that you probably should. And then Garrett Wilson's a rookie, so I think there has to be some tempered level of expectation, even for a top 10 pick. So I just think Elijah Moore, second year, this system, staying healthy is a key. I think he's the guy for that. AC, I'm excited for Marshall's potential. Again, Jonathan Marshall is an athletic freak. He's phenomenal. And again, we'll see. I think Ethan Greenberg made a great point that he's both on the precipice of potentially being hopefully a fully Fatukasi type, and on the other hand, potentially getting cut. That's how close the line is, especially on the defensive line. Sergeant Mike on YouTube. I'm glad Chicago signed Reef. I took Jets over Bears and Giants in Super Bowl, and we need the Bears to do their part. We could develop a few UDFAs to be our offensive line backups. Sergeant Mike, I'm glad you have more faith than I do in terms of just developing like UDFAs. Offensive linemen are scarce. They are very hard. To have. They're just scarce in terms of the talent in this league. So, but God bless you. If they could do it, that would be the greatest thing since sliced bread. Jay Spector, 5.5 is total disrespect. Need to look at second half to see what's on horizon. Here's the thing I'll say. Whether it's wins and losses, whether it's national perspective or what have you, let's just be real. The Jets have one winning season in 11 years. The Jets haven't been to the playoffs in 11 years. Like, respect will not be given. It has to be earned. And again, I think 5.5 is stupid. And make your money right now, putting your pink slips, your deed to your house, and everything on the Jets being over, because outside of injury, I don't know how they don't. But the point is that they need to command respect. And with respect will come everything else. If they start winning football games this year and showing some chutzpah, they're going to get more primetime games. Again, right now they only have 1 and technically 2 if you want to count the Atlanta Falcons preseason game. So there you go. And then that Week 16 Jacksonville Jaguars Thursday night football game. So again, but everything will come in hand. If they start winning games, then there's going to be a bunch more primetime games next year. If they start winning games, the respect will go up. Vegas over-under numbers, fantasy superstars, and love, and all that other crap. But they need to do it themselves for that to be possible, in my opinion. Okay, AC Wayne Corbett. Yes, I love Corbett. One of my favorites. We should have him on the show. I've not had him on the show yet. We're both small, vertically challenged guys. I'm sure he'd appreciate it. Jay Spector on YouTube. LaFleur figured out last year, and Zach will take a huge step. Too much talent now to repeat last year's record. Yeah, 4-13 would not only be disappointing. I would want people to be fired if somehow 4-13 would happen there. Greg Lang on YouTube. How happy will you be when Michael Clemens destroys Mac Jones? By the way, let's throw that up. I need to jump over and get that picture up. Talking about viral pictures. I tweeted it out earlier, like some of the best photos that the Jets shared on their training camp report day. Yeah, let's throw this on the screen. It's also actually the cover image for the YouTube video. So for those and anywhere else that you're seeing the video for that matter, is you will see this picture of Michael Clemens. Let me throw this up on the screen. Let's get the blow up picture of Michael Clemens. Sweet Lord have mercy. Like, look at this guy. Again, I always see Osi Umenyiora when I see the lankiness and the strength and everything. It really, I mean, he's in phenomenal shape. I mean, look at this guy. I mean, he's chiseled like a Greek god, for Pete's sake. I mean, Michael Clemens is great. And I don't think, and I've said this before, but it's worth repeating. I don't think there's ever been a player that gets drafted, and I kind of have a meh response because, you know, I knew of Texas A&M, and I've heard very little about Michael Clemens. And then he comes in and speaks, and I see the size and I see it in front of our face. I'm like, you know what? Michael Clemens could be the surprise of the draft. So I will be elated to see him break dad bod Mac Jones in half, because Michael Clemens could be a stud. And of course, he's making the roster for anyone who questioned that. But Michael Clemens is a freak. So I will be elated. I can't wait to see that. Back to Kobe here. Double tight end is going to help out a lot. Triple tight end. How about Jeremy Rucker, who's currently on the NFI list, but I expect him to be back sooner rather than later. That is not official. Tyler Conklin, CJ Uzomah. Again, just one tight end would have been great, and now they have three, and maybe even more, depending on the Kenny Yeboah and Lawrence Cage, how those things play out respectively. So, yeah, more tight ends are going to help for sure. I love it. And I talk often about three particulars with tight ends that can help at a quarterback. You attack the seam, mismatch nightmare. You're either too fast for a linebacker or too big for a member of the secondary. Number two, security blanket. If things go south, Zach Wilson's going like, man, there's no one open. Dump it off to your tight end. They can make stuff happen. Of course, the red zone weapon, that size and being able to make things happen, especially with the piss poor red zone percentages by the Jets last year. And quite frankly, over the last bunch of years, I think that is as well. So tight end should help. Nate Wiles on YouTube. Zach stats prediction. Okay. I predict that Zach Wilson will throw somewhere in the 3,500 to 3,700 passing yards, which is a decent, yards per game average. It's hovering somewhere in the 210, 215, 220. I don't have a calculator in front of me, but somewhere in that ballpark of 3,500 to 3,700. I want to see, total 24 plus total touchdowns and sprinkling and rushing and passing. I want to see in the 24 touchdown ballpark is what I want to see. Interceptions, I'd like to see 12 or fewer. To be honest with you, I'd like a lot fewer, but 12 or fewer in particular, especially if you get kind of that 2-to-1 ratio from a touchdown reception perspective. And really the big thing for me, Nate, to be honest with you, is the completion percentage and being able to just hit the layups. And again, hitting the layups and hitting the throws you're supposed to hit are not going to win ESPN headlines. They're not going to be featured in SportsCenter top 10 moments. But for me, it's just, okay, move the chains. Do what quarterbacks are supposed to do. And that's my expectation. Now, for some, that'll be so low. He was the number 2 overall pick of the draft. Of course, he should make those laps. That should not be something you're hoping for, but it is. And because we've seen him make the spectacular play. Now I want to see him make the ordinary play. To make it in this sense, I've seen him be Superman. I just want to see him be Clark Kent now. And there will be occasional Superman moments inevitably, but show me how you could be Clark Kent. Show me how you can do that life. And I think they'll be in a good spot. So 3,500 to 3,700 passing yards, about 24 total touchdowns, throwing the rushing and passing together, and a plus on the completion percentage where it's at 65, 66, 67. It's not going to be 80. It's not going to be 75. It can't be an unrealistic pop there, but that's what I'm looking for. AC meant Corbett for an interview. 100%. I know he's tightly connected to the Jets X Factor people over there. We'll see if we can make that happen. Jack Stallo on YouTube. Which edge rusher at the bottom of the depth chart do you think ultimately doesn't make the roster? Not sure they could keep both Huff and Vinnie Curry. If I'm picking, I'm keeping Huff over Vinnie Curry. Vinnie Curry, who seemingly has been kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, he's been connected to the Jets forever. I mean, absolutely forever. And then it's never happened for one reason or another. Finally, it does happen, and he kind of joins the cause. And again, he's coming off the rare blood disorder last year. We had to lose a spleen. So a lot of serious stuff. And again, his moxie and MO and all that is right. But again, Bryce Huff and the potential that he carries. And again, look at the Madden ratings. If you want to use that, he's a 75 overall Madden rating, despite not really doing anything yet. And it's because people know the potential and what he's capable of from that perspective. So that as well is something worth. And wow, I have to stop everything to give a shout out to Kobe DeCan for becoming a YouTube member. You are the first one, Kobe, as far as I know, my first YouTube member joining the channel. So thank you for joining, which is a healthy reminder for anyone that's watching right now. Again, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, feel free to show your support for the channel. Your help, whether it's free with a thumbs up and subscriptions. Those are free things that you can do to support the channel. Feel free to do that right now. What are you doing? Show some chutzpah, show some love, show some juice, and feel free to do that on the channel. If you are so inclined, you could do as Kobe did and join our YouTube member group. We have some specials coming up, the Boy Green Fan Club, essentially, where we can do some live streams where you guys actually join me on the live streams. Instead of me just answering your questions, you can ask your questions. We can hem and haw back and forth. So feel free to explore the same waters that Kobe just did and join our membership on YouTube. So feel free to check that out. More info on my YouTube channel. And also, you can super chat where you send a monetary tip. You throw it in my tin cup. Dink. And you can ask a question, give an emoji, do whatever you'd like there as well. So feel free to show your support for the channel. We got a lot of fun stuff planned out for the season. I think a lot of you guys are really going to enjoy. So Kobe, welcome to the club, baby. One of one. And I love it. And hopefully many more join in on all the love from that perspective. Jay Spector here. Watch Madden 23, Jets versus Miami at Hard Rock. Jets won 20-17. Nice way to end season for a playoff spot. Yeah, for sure. And by the way, I'm a big Madden fan. I can't wait for Madden to come out. I am a massive Madden guy. I play Madden all the time. And I'm looking forward to almost playing straight up with the Jets roster because of all the talent that happens to be there. So, yeah, baby. It's phenomenal. AC on YouTube. Nobody beat Aaron Rodgers today. Dang Conair. Yeah, I was rolling. That was hilarious. And again, this is fun. This people reporting and just showing up. And I thought Lawrence Cager showed some drip. I thought Lawrence Cager was looking. You know what? Let's throw some of those up there. These were some of the best ones that I saw. So I will throw it up on the screen for you guys to enjoy. And for people listening on the audio podcast, I apologize. I'll try to describe it to the best of my ability. So we're going to throw this up on the screen. This is Lawrence Cager with almost a bell-bottom flowery action going on, like a 70s shirt. I can't quite make it out. And again, he did a lot of drip there from Lawrence Cager, new tight end for the New York Jets. We showed the Makai Bechten picture. He's looking lean and mean, which is great. Braxton Berrios with the Eminem impression, with the buzz cut blonde hair. Welcome to the club. And then, as we already said, Michael Clement is looking really good. So, yeah, the Eminem impression from Braxton Berrios. Muy interesante. Yeah, this is a guy that had like the lovely locks just a couple of years ago. So there you go. But this is a great time. This is a great time of year. I love it. Paul Christensen on Facebook. I'm a huge Cager fan. He has size, speed, hands to be top 6 wide receiver rather than a number 5 tight end. Am I wrong? Yeah, this is one of those classic guys that we are all going to find out. We can all guess on who's it going to be this year, folks. But who is going to be the guy that kind of captures our hearts and is either a training camp darling, a preseason darling? We're all rooting for him to make the roster and whether or not he will. I did do a video on the channel. Again, this is one of the other pre-recorded videos that we do on the channel where I made a pitch as to why Jeremy Rucker could maybe replace Nick Boden at fullback. And again, I know he's not going to be exclusively a fullback moving forward, but he's a nasty blocker and he can help out in the meantime. That could open up some roster flexibility like a Lawrence Cager or Kenny Yeboah making the roster as another tight end. I love Cager. I've loved him since he came out. I think he's a stud. Really, really talented, a lot of traits. Obviously didn't all work out in college. All the pieces didn't fall together in all the places he was at, both Georgia and Miami for that matter. But I think he could be a freak. But I don't think they're going to go, just to answer like the position question, I don't think they're going herky-jerky. They committed to Cager, and again, Cager couldn't have possibly anticipated. I believe he signed that tight end reserve future contract back in January, and that was prior to the Jets signing Conklin, prior to them signing Uzomah, prior to them drafting Rucker. If Cager would have been like anywhere on the roster over the last decade, he could have been the starter at tight end, let alone being this fourth or fifth guy trying to battle it out. But I love his potential. There's no question about it. Mo Dean, Jets will stink this season. Mo, I really appreciate you taking your time out of your day to join a Jets exclusive YouTube channel to let us know that. So, Mo, thank you for your service. Back to Nate Wild. Who do you think is the most underrated player on the team? Most underrated. There's a couple guys that come to mind. It seems hard to say like a guy like John Franklin Myers who just got $55 million, but he seems like the most underrated defensive lineman on the team because everyone's talking about Quinnen, Jermaine Johnson, Carl Lawson. Even other guys are like getting a lot of love, like Jacob Martin and things of that nature. So JFM is like a weirdly underrated guy. It's hard to say that with a contract, and he tied for the league in sacks last year for the team with Quinnen Williams with 6. He's certainly a guy. I'm trying to think here of other Marcel Harris. I mentioned him earlier. I think he's a guy we've completely forgotten about. He's incredibly underrated. Jordan Whitehead is another guy that's looking great. I think we shared that must have been on last week's Jet Zone or something that we shared. Jordan Whitehead looking good. He's a free agent that's really, I think people just overlooked. So I don't know if that quite fits the underrated category, but overlooked 100%. And I think he's going to be a real secret sauce to this team that really almost a glue of the unit. I believe. Let's see. Matthias. Okay, just in from the Connor Hughes interview. And Matthias, feel free to share any nuggets. I will just say this. I tuned into the beginning, and then I was kind of in and out as we were preparing for our own live stream. But first off, that's a collab no one saw coming. I can't believe Connor Hughes and Green Bean were able to do that. I was watching live when Connor Hughes, and I try not to swear too much, but Connor Hughes basically called Green Bean a slapdick podcast and kind of made fun of him a little bit because Green Bean called Connor Hughes out for his draft take from sources where there's no way the Jets take Sauce. Of course, we all know the Jets did take Sauce number 4 overall. And that really got under Connor's skin, and they kind of went at it. And now, beautiful, look at them on Green Bean's channel doing a lot of great stuff. And by the way, I saw a significant piece of it. I have to go back and watch the rest, but Green Bean's phenomenal. But the thing I have to say is that there's just great back and forth, that it wasn't just Connor Hughes coming on, apologizing to Green Bean, and then like Green Bean like roasting him the entire time. I think there's just good back and forth and understanding, and it seemed really cool. Robert, I'm still scratching my head on how did Mac Jones make the Pro Bowl? So here's the thing. You're not going to meet many crazier Pro Bowl fans than me. I love the Pro Bowl. Again, I don't love how it's kind of eroded over the years, but I'm a fan of all football. The thing that I've really hated over the years is the 7 alternates for the Pro Bowl. So like the Jets will have like a 4th alternate for the Pro Bowl. And of course they make it in because another guy is going to like Honolulu, someone's injured, whatever happens. I hate the 7th alternate, and then that 7th alternate has a Pro Bowl nod forever on their career, even though technically they were a 7th alternate, so they weren't really a Pro Bowler, but they get the nod and the contract stuff because they did technically play in the Pro Bowl. For me, I like the new rule that is being floated out there, where it'd be more so an honorary system now, so they would release the Pro Bowlers, like 11 offense, 11 defense, and maybe there's a few reserve players that don't make the starting lineup. But either way, that you go too deep maybe at all the positions. Here are your Pro Bowlers. It's an honorary thing. You guys all made the Pro Bowl. There's no game, but tip the cap, you made the Pro Bowl. So anyone who has that kind of factored into their contract structures, get the bonus, escalate or whatever. Again, Mac Jones was not a straight up Pro Bowler. He was an alternate Pro Bowler. But again, you know what? I don't think Mac Jones is going to be very good. I was wrong, obviously, in year one, but we'll see kind of what goes from there. And more people pouring over from the Connor Hughes Green Bean special. Just came over from Connor Hughes on Green Bean. What's going on? Maximilian Pegasus, welcome to the show. Let's see. That was awesome. Melvin, you're speaking for all of us. I just hope we stay injury-free this camp. Knock on glass says this is what my desk is for the shows, but 100% knock on glass, baby. We've had too many injuries over the years. I think we're due to be as injury-free as possible. Don't want to jinx it. We just got to, hope for the best. Again, my radio partner once said that football is a game that eats its young. Another way of saying that violence is part of the sport and players are going to get injured inevitably. So it just is what it is from that standpoint. But hopefully it's no one major. But, fingers crossed there. A super chat, which is awesome, by the way, Romani, thank you so much for sending a super chat. And you can see it's a completely different color for people that have never done a super chat before. This is a way to support the channel. How I got this mic and pop filter and all this other gizmos and gadgets you see, like all this stuff over here, all the stuff that makes the show possible, the lighting, the everything, the this. It allows me to invest more resources into the podcast and product that you guys love. So I got to give a shout out to Romani. I got to give a shout out to Kobe for the membership. The super chats, all this helps make all of this possible, and it means the world to me every time you guys do it. Again, I got a Hall of Fame over here, and Romani and Kobe and all you other people that have supported it over the years really makes a difference. So shout out to you, Romani. Boy Green, keep up the great work. We're bringing on awesome guests. Do you have concerns about Zach Wilson and hitting the gimme throws? Yeah, we have some more guests coming. I mentioned it earlier in case you guys missed it. Zach Rosenblatt is the new New York Jets beat reporter for The Athletic. He replaces Connor Hughes, and actually, me and Zach have a good relationship. We will be doing something on the podcast, so keep an eye out for that. I'm actually going on vacation. I'm flying to Mississippi tomorrow on an airplane, so not to get too deep here, deep cut, but so my parents can meet my 6-month-old child. So I'm going to be kind of out of commission, but I'll have my computer with me. So I'm hoping to do shows, but I have no idea how the Wi-Fi is going to be in Mississippi. So keep an eye out for that. But anywho, so we would have had Zach on sooner, but because of our both schedules, both of us flying tomorrow, that it's not going to happen before I left. So unfortunate. However, we'll get a camp update from Zach Rosenblatt. So he's a good buddy of mine, and he will be doing regular stuff both on this show and also my radio show, which you guys can listen to Monday through Friday, the Man Shout Show with Boy Green. So looking forward to that. So another great guest and more guests coming on throughout the season. Keep an eye out for that. To answer your question, Romani, do I have concerns about Zach Wilson hitting the gimme throws? To be honest, I don't. Now, again, it's almost like anything that you could say you have a concern until you don't. Like Makai Bechten is a good example, right? Like with all the negative press about him, how could you not be concerned? You'd be crazy not to be concerned, or just you'd be glass half full, tinted green colored glasses guy if you didn't have any modicum of fear or concern that Makai Bechten was going to show up. And he showed up great, and that's great for me. I wanted Makai Bechten to be great. So it's not like I was a Makai Bechten hater or anything. I wanted to be healthy. I wanted to be good. But in terms of concerns, I really feel like that the Zach Wilson issues are fixable. His footwork, a couple of times, he just tried to arm it. He didn't line up his feet properly. He just tried to do it. And I feel like there was a lot of, and I use this line from Spider-Man all the time, the Tobey Maguire version, where Aunt May tells Peter Parker, "You're not Superman, you know." And I always remember that line because it's almost like to say that to Zach Wilson, "You're not Superman, you know." And he does have Superman moments, but you don't have to be Superman. Look at the talent on this team. Like, look around the room, man. Take a hint. Look at the room. You've got talent. Take advantage of it. Just hike the ball. And you know what? You want to rocket it deep on a deep ball thing to Elijah Moore, and that'd be a Sports Center move. Move the chains. Move the chains consistently and make those throws. So, to me, why I don't have concerns about it, Romani, to be honest with you, is a couple-fold. First off, I think the talent is so much better around him. He's going to be in year 2, and I've heard there's a confidence and kind of a command in the huddle from both people inside the building and outside the building. That makes me feel great. Again, some people are going to have to see it to believe it in terms of Zach Wilson, but for me, I do not fear it because, again, there's no way that a guy that was a number 2 overall pick in the draft suddenly just can't hit 3 and 4 and 5-yard passes. That just doesn't make any sense. Like, unless it's some sort of weird Space Jam football remix where his powers were taken by some monsters. I just don't understand how suddenly he would just lose the ability to throw the gimme throws. So to me, I think it was just he was in his own head. And then you start forcing things when things aren't going well. A good example is the New England Patriots game. I think it was not the injury one, but it could have been. Because that was Mike White. I'm trying to think it out of my head of when they played New England. Either way, it was the New England game. The Jets and New England were playing, and Zach Wilson went 3-and-out. And by the time he got the ball back, the Jets were down 14-0. So I can't remember which game that was. All of them blend together now. But that was the situation. And that just went to show you, like, shoot, Zach Wilson had 3-and-out. Any quarterback can have a 3-and-out. What's the big deal? But immediately he's down 14-0. So I can only imagine the pressure on Zach Wilson going, man, I gotta score 14 points right now. But we all know that's impossible. There's no 14-point play. So you can't be thinking like that with that kind of pressure and saying, oh, man, I got to make something happen right now. No, chip, chip, chip. It's a 60-minute game, man. Marathon, not a sprint. You just got to work your way up to it. So to me, I think there's a lot of mental stuff last year. I think there was, he did not just lose the ability to hit the layup throws. It's the easiest way that I can put it, Romani. So, no, I'm not concerned. And maybe that's blind faith, but to me, I feel like I explained it pretty good there. Let's see. Kobe projections for Conk. Guys, I think T-Conk, which, by the way, he joined me on my show, so you guys can check out the old interview with Tyler Conklin if you missed it. And he was phenomenal. And by the way, I was just talking to Tyler Conklin actually the other day, and we're going to hit each other up during the season. I was going to do it before training camp, but we're just going to hit each other up during the season. Apparently, there's going to be a good time for him. So, Tyler Conklin interview number 2 with Boyd Green coming up later this season. But in terms of projections for Conk, I think he's going to surprise people. I think he's got a lot more receiving prowess than people know. He's coming off a career year, obviously, with the Minnesota Vikings. I think he's going to get somewhere in that 50, 60 catch range for like 750 yards. And shoot, I think he breaks the touchdown mark that he set. I think his career high is 4 touchdowns. I think give me like 5. So I think respectable numbers, but man, I think he will be somewhat eaten by the depth of the room, but Conklin's going to make some noise. I think he's going to be a freak. And by the way, he does not like the Gronklin nickname he got with Minnesota. He said Jet fans shouldn't like it either with the Gronk stuff. So he goes by T-Conk, Conklin. There's a couple of things you guys can check it out. Also check out the interview if you'd like as well. Let's see. Sergeant Week. Since the Jets will have a bye week before the Super Bowl on February 12th, should Salah treat their Week 10 bye in the Game 10 as a Super Bowl preparation? We need to be ready for the Super Bowl bye week media frenzy. The 2 times that they were close, obviously, they had Rex Ryan. And because, of course, I'm an NFL fan, so, of course, I watch all the media weeks, all the Super Bowl coverage and all that stuff. And I was thinking to myself, like, man, how is that going to be when Rex Ryan, Mark Sanchez, and all the personalities, whether it's a 2009 team or 2010 team, how is everyone going to eat that up? And it would have been phenomenal. Unfortunately, we were robbed of that, and we never got it, which unfortunately is sad. But, the point is that I love the optimism, Sergeant Mike. This is great. And we will see how they operate this season. Again, everyone's overlooking the Jets, and that's fine. And again, as I mentioned earlier, I don't blame people for overlooking the Jets. They need to prove it on the football field for other people to believe, and I think ultimately that's what's going to happen. Jay Spector on YouTube. CJ sporting a Time Man of the Year tee with Zach on it. Yeah, I wrote a full piece on this. I was not able to share it today because of all the breaking news. That will drop. It's officially on the site, so if you guys want a sneak peek, it's on Heavy on Jets. I got a lot of your great reactions on social media. NYJ Mike was a good one, and we had several others. I grabbed a lot of your reactions to CJ Uzomah wearing the Time of the Man t-shirt, which, again, is a tip of the cap to the alleged mom behavior that's floating out there. And that article's up on Heavy on Jets. It will officially go on the Facebook page. It's got 20,000 of you tomorrow morning. So keep an eye out for that one. That one was hilarious. And again, to me, so there's something to take from this. For me, I didn't know. So we hear about the story, right? And it's, again, objectively hilarious. The girl, Abby Guile, his ex-girlfriend, Zach Wilson's. Look at all this gossip talk we're having here on a Tuesday night / Wednesday midnight morning, right? We're having all this gossip talk like we're on a People magazine or something. That, Abby Guile said that Zach Wilson slept with his mom's best friend to try to like trash him, like, look at this sleazeball. And instead, it had the opposite effect. And all of a sudden, he's getting like street cred from people going, wow, that guy's a dog. And, and he's getting all this kind of love. So I love that I didn't know how his teammates were going to respond to this. I thought the teammates were going to give him a good time, like privately, like, oh, that's my boy. But I didn't know how they were going to do with it publicly. According to Zach Rosenblatt, I haven't heard the full interviews of all the players up on the Jets YouTube channel yet. So I have to carve out time for that. But he said that the only player that was asked about the Zach Wilson extracurricular activities was Elijah Tucker, and he kind of like shot it down and said, I don't really have a comment. But CJ Uzomah is coming out with a T-shirt, and I'm like, oh, you know what? They can all have fun with this, and it's cool that they not only like him, obviously, and think he's cool from that perspective, but it is kind of picking up steam and chemistry, camaraderie, and a cool factor. Like, to me, it's awesome. So I loved it. Pete Detrailga. Breece Hall is going to be the Jets highlight player this year. Book it. Rookie of the year for the AFC. They don't do it like that anymore. Outside, like AP maybe, but like the official award is just overall offensive rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year, both AFC, NFC, irrelevant, like the NFL. And again, if he was the offensive rookie of the year, he'd be the first time a Jet had ever done that before, which would be pretty cool. So I really do hope that ends up happening. Let's see. The seventh alternate is Michael Clement's kid. Yeah, and I hope he destroys him. That would be phenomenal. Melvin gives a good reminder. Make sure you guys are hitting the like on YouTube. Again, even if you're watching on Facebook or Twitter, hop on over. Or even if you're listening to the audio podcast exclusively, make sure you guys hop on over to YouTube to, as my boy Buffalo Jet fan says, smash the like button. And all your support is really appreciative. Let's keep going here. Let's get a couple more questions in before we sign off. And then I got to pack because I am a procrastinator packer ahead of my airplane trip tomorrow, my radio show tomorrow morning, and everything else. So that was not good. Let's see. Clement's going to be a starter by the end of the year. I'm not sure. Well, again, I think the starter label is kind of overrated on the solid scheme because of how often they rotate these guys, but I love it. I think Clemens is going to be the surprise, though. Let's keep going here. Any final comments? Hawks in here. Monstars. Yeah, get a little Space Jam reference. Why not? Yeah, I try to give you guys your pop culture references. Let's run through a couple more here. Zandy, expectation for the Jets run game this year with Hall and Carter. I think Breece Hall, there's a lot of conflicting reports on this, where some people believe Carter is going to be like the 40 of a 60-40 split. And maybe it is a little slow off the get-go, but I don't think so. To me, I think it's going to be Breece Hall 75, Michael Carter 25. Like, Michael Carter is going to get some run, but I think, Breece Hall is going to be the dude. He's the highest drafted running back by the Jets this century. He's the highest drafted running back by the Jets in over 30 years. The last running back that was drafted higher than Breece Hall was Blair Thomas, number 2 overall. And sorry to bring up that memory, but you don't draft a guy and make that kind of history unless you've got a plan. And Mike LaFleur has a plan. They're going to run this dude. They're going to hand him they're going to throw it to him in screens and use him as receiver. And oh man, like, this dude's going to take over. In terms of like my expectations, like, offensive rookie year is not out of the question for a guy like Breece Hall. And Michael Carter will be this change of pace guy and hopefully improve his hands. And he's going to be a guy that can complement each other well, but it's not going to be one of those 50-50 splits. It's not going to be a 60-40 split, in my opinion. I think it's going to be a stark contrast between Hall and Carter, and for good reason, because Hall is uber talented. So that's my expectation. I think the running game is going to be the foundation of everything. Look at this offensive line. I think it's got a real chance. You got a lot of road graders, Makai Bechten, Laken Tomlinson, Elijah Tucker. Some of these guys got to get better in pass pro, but man, I think they're going to be running the football down people's throats, and I think that's great news. Let's keep going here. Defense wins championships. I want to bring this guy up because I see him on Twitter all the time, and he has been an avid Makai Bechten defender, and I love it. So I want to bring this comment up. Boyd Green, I tried telling you throughout the entire offseason how Makai Becton's been working out and training like a dog each and every single day throughout the entire offseason. I want to make this clear for people because I didn't know this was going to come up on the show. I think that not everything is in a tunnel. So let me explain. It seems like on social media, there are Makai Bechten truthers and Makai Bechten haters, is how it seems to be divided, but it's not black and white. There are people that have criticized Makai Bechten, said his weight's been out of shape, and and all these kinds of other varying factors, right? With Makai Bechten. Then there's been the defenders of like, oh, he's been working hard, fake news. Connor Hughes is making up reports. Dan Graziano's making up reports. Rich Cimini's they've got an agenda. Here's my thing. Could both of these things be true? Couldn't have Makai Bechten at mandatory minicamp pushing 400 pounds, out of shape, stepped on the scale. Jets didn't like what they see. And then they said, dude, you need to figure out your crap. And over the following 4 to 6 weeks, he said, you know what? This is my time, chip on the shoulder, and then turned it all around. Couldn't both of those things be true? Because that's what I think. I think they're both true. I think Makai Becton's been working really hard, but there's no question that it seemed like he was out of shape. Who would lie about that? Why would he be really in shape, but people make it up? That doesn't make any sense to me. I am a logic guy. And if you can make a compelling argument why the Jets would make that up, please let me know. Because guess what? I have no idea why they would make that up. Because if Makai Bechten was in the great shape and doing everything the right way, they would be screaming it from the rooftops. And they did not. And now they are. And by the way, it's great. And I love that Makai Becton's great. He should be great. He is such a pivot point for the season. He is so critically important to everything the New York Jets are going to do this year with him being healthy and what he can be and the heights he can reach and everything else. So defense wins championships? Yes. Have you been pounding the Makai Bechten drum all offseason? Yes, you have, and tip the cap to you. However, I don't think it's black and white. I think there is gray. I think he has been working hard and he was overweight. And now it seems like he is now on the right side of history and things are going great. And I can't wait to see him in his first practice on Wednesday. But the fact of the matter is, I don't think he's just been great the entire offseason, because if he had been, the coaching staff and everybody else would have been heaping praise at his feet. But it was not the case. So I wanted to bring that up on the show. Okay, let's go through a couple more here. Sergeant Mike, question. Should Saleh and Jody get extended from now until their hair turns gray? And since they're both bald, we're talking lifetime contracts, just like the Steelers, one coach per generation, which, by the way, 3 Steelers coaches of Bill Cowher, Chuck Noll, and Mike Tomlin from like a 70-year span. Can we get that kind of continuity? That'd be nice, because if you think about all the coaches, you had Rex Ryan 2014, Todd Bowles 2015, Adam Gase, and now Saleh. You're on your 4th coach in like whatever that is, 7 years or something. Like, it's just brutal. So there's just been a constant revolving door. So I'd like that to change. I like Robert Saleh a lot. He's got the right temperament. He's fun during interviews. I think the players respect the heck out of him. Joe Douglas obviously has to win. Plain and simple. He has not done enough winning. The trades have been funny, hilarious, awesome. I think he's done a nice job of roster construction. We all have misses. The Ryan Khalil convincing the guy off the couch. The 2020 draft class, we'll have to see. Makai Bechten looks great right now, so maybe that narrative changes. But, Joe Douglas has to win. But I love what I've seen from Robert Saleh. So I am really excited about a lot of what I've seen. So should they be extended a lifetime contract? Absolutely not. There's got to be some proof in the pudding here. But I am excited for a lot of things. Robert, thanks for a great show. Yes. Yeah, guys, I'm glad that this show kind of came together. There was just so much stuff to go here. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. You bet defense wins championships. I'm glad that you commented on here. Eddie Mills on Facebook. We need tackles on both sides. Hopefully someone will be cut with rookies coming in and preseason coming in. I hope so, but I'm going to be honest. I feel like Eddie, it's a prayer. Like the Morgan Moses thing was like God. Like it's like, Joe Douglas walking down the street going, well, I guess Makai Bechten and George Fant will work. And then he's like, what the hell? Who the hell is this 6'7" mammoth? Morgan Moses? I guess I'll add him to the team. Like he fell into his lap. And the Jets happen to have money and they happen to have a need and said, all right, guess we'll sign him. But like 96 consecutive starts is what Morgan Moses had when he was a free agent. How many other tackles of that quality, of that depth are available? Spoiler alert, none. So it was just such a unique oddity, a rare situation where the Washington Commanders and football team, whatever the hell you want to call them, it was such a unique situation. I don't think it'll ever happen again. And that's just my take. But hopefully an offensive tackle shakes free. Again, I'll be hoping, I'll be praying for that to be sure. And Maximilian, same thing. Yep, Becton could have gotten shaped during that time. Yes. I do believe he did, which is great, which I don't care how he did it for that. All right, everybody. I just got to say we went over an hour here. We started this show on a Tuesday and now we ended on a Wednesday. Isn't that beautiful? Again, this audio will be uploaded, of course, to the Jet Zone podcast. If you guys enjoy it in the car, I've had a lot of people say that they enjoy it. This podcast has been on the air for a decade in the car, audio only, if you guys prefer that. And, of course, the video is also always available here on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter as well. Thanks for stopping by, guys. We had to do this video. Again, I'm going on a mini vacation. I'm hopping on a plane tomorrow, the baby's first plane ride. Fingers crossed. Say a prayer for me to make sure that goes beautifully and goes well. But I will have all my stuff on me, so hopefully we could do a Jet Zone live from Mississippi. So I hope so. I hope the Wi-Fi is good and everything's good, and we'll be doing that, and also some interviews. So I have a couple of people that want to do an interview, and hopefully it'll work out, of course, with the Wi-Fi situation. So stay tuned. No matter what, you'll be hearing from me soon, guys. Training camp is here. Football's back. Preseason's right around the corner. And we have good times rolling and exciting times for the Jets, baby. It's going to be absolutely spectacular. And it's a fun day to report today where guys are coming back healthy and it's all good vibes around the team. And it's really cool. Guys, thanks for all the conversations. Thanks for jumping in, whether positive, negative, or in the middle. I love all you guys. So Kobe, Eddie, Mo, Dean, all you, even Mo Dean, yeah, Maximilian Pegasus, all you guys. It's awesome to have so much interaction this late on a Tuesday night / Wednesday morning. And again, we'll be back later in the week for some more action. Feel free, if you haven't already, Ethan Greenberg, New York Jets team reporter, joined us yesterday to preview training camp so you can get an inside team perspective from him. We'll have more up on the channel coming up later. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your night. And by the time you hear or see this, maybe Jets practice may already be underway here on a Wednesday, July 27th. Thanks, everybody, and peace out. There'll be more to talk about, I'm sure.